Imagine, you spent 5 years building this WordPress blog. You're ranking #1 on Google for, like, best espresso machines.
Right, so you've built all this trust with your audience.
Exactly. You have the audience, you have the trust, and you finally decide, hey, I'm going to launch my own line of roasted coffee beans.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. So you migrate your entire site over to Shopify to handle the commerce side of things, and boom, overnight, you lose 90% of your organic traffic.
Oh, man. Yeah. That is a total nightmare scenario.
It's awful. And today, we're unpacking the definitive playbook to ensure that never happens to you.
It's a very real risk. And, it's the exact reason we're looking at this specific master guide today.
Right, from April 22nd, 2026.
Yeah, the guide is called Shopify WordPress Integration, Sell on Your WP Site. It's this dense, like 28-minute roadmap on how to bridge these two massive platforms.
Without completely destroying the value of either one. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to map out the 5 distinct ways you can graft Shopify's commerce engine directly onto WordPress.
Which is huge, considering WordPress powers, what, like 43% of the internet?
Yeah, something crazy like that. So getting this right is a big deal, whether you're managing a dozen client sites or just, monetizing your own traffic.
And we aren't just talking about, like, pasting some code into a text box here.
No, not at all.
We're talking about the why behind the integration. You really have to balance the year-one costs, which, they range wildly.
We're talking from $240 up to, well, over $5,000. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Over $5,000. And you have to manage performance impacts, too. The wrong choice can add, like, anywhere from 60 to over 400 milliseconds of delay.
Which feels like an eternity in web time.
It really does. And, of course, you have to protect that hard-earned SEO.
Absolutely. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of the actual tools, we really need to establish the core philosophy here.
Right, the underlying strategy.
Because WordPress is just unmatched for editorial workflows.
Yeah.
It's built from the ground up for content.
Yeah, and Shopify absolutely dominates commerce. They have, over 4.6 million live stars, and arguably the industry's best converting checkout.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source material actually gives us a really useful mental model for this.
Oh, the storefront analogy.
Yeah, you think of WordPress as the physical storefront of a building. Like, it's the window displays, the beautiful signage.
The editorial content that draws people in off the street.
Exactly. And Shopify is, well, it's the cash register and the secure warehouse operating behind the scenes.
Right, so it's essentially like a speakeasy.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
The front is this fantastic content-rich bookstore. That's your WordPress site.
Right.
But when it's time to actually buy that, secret reserve whiskey you're hiding, you step through a hidden door into a perfectly secure vault.
Which is Shopify.
Right. The inventory, the orders, the money, that all lives in the vault. But your SEO and your brand voice, that stays in the bookstore.
And the trick is that the customer shouldn't even notice the transition. It should feel totally seamless.
But wait, let me push back on this for a second.
Yeah.
Why not just use WooCommerce?
Ah, the classic question.
It's right there. It's a free plugin. You keep it all in one room.
Yeah.
Why build a complex bridge to a Shopify vault when you have a cash register sitting right there in the bookstore?
Well, it really comes down to database bloat.
Bloat.
Yeah. When you install WooCommerce, it creates dozens of new custom database tables inside your WordPress install.
Oh, wow.
So every time a user just loads a simple blog post, your server is suddenly like processing all this heavy e-commerce logic in the background.
Even if they aren't buying anything.
Exactly. It bogs down your performance. The source actually outlines 3 specific scenarios where bridging to Shopify beats bolting on WooCommerce.
Okay, what's the first one?
First is that 5-year-old content brand we mentioned earlier. They want to sell some merch, but they really don't want to torch their SEO or slow down their editorial site.
Right. They don't need a heavy shopping cart script loading on every single article they've ever written.
Exactly. Second scenario, think of an agency selling, like, productized services.
Like website audits or premium templates.
Yeah. They just need a few secure checkout paths on their landing pages. They don't need a sprawling e-commerce catalog.
Makes sense. And the third?
The third is actually the reverse. It's an established Shopify store that hits a ceiling with Shopify's native blogging tools.
Because Shopify's blog feature is, well, it's pretty basic.
It is. So they need a serious content marketing arm for SEO. And they launch a WordPress site alongside their store. In all 3 cases, specialization wins.
Okay, so we've established the speakeasy model. We know why we want the bookstore and the vault separate.
Right?
So how exactly do we build that hidden door? Let's look at the first two plug-and-play methods from the guide.
The easiest doors to build.
Yeah. Method 1 is what the guide calls the new default. It's the official sell-on WordPress plugin that Shopify released in October 2025.
This really changed the game for standard setups.
It's totally free, official, and setup takes, what, maybe 30 minutes?
If that, yeah, it just adds server-rendered Gutenberg product blocks straight into your WordPress editor.
So you just drop in a single product or a product list or an entire collection block.
Exactly. And it offloads all the PCI compliance to Shopify and gives you this really slick, mobile responsive cart drawer.
It just slides right out over the content.
Yep.
Okay. But method 2 is the older solution, the buy button.
Right, the classic 10-minute fix.
It just generates a single JavaScript tag that you paste into an HTML block. Right?
Yeah, it's incredibly fast because it loads asynchronously. It doesn't block your site's largest contentful paint.
And it's cheap. You can run it on the $5 a month starter plan.
Very budget-friendly.
But wait, I have to play devil's advocate here. If the new Sell on WordPress plugin is free, official, and built right into Gutenberg, why would anyone still use the old JavaScript buy button? Isn't it just obsolete at this point?
What's fascinating here is how search engines actually see these two tools. It's a critical difference.
The SEO reveal.
Exactly. It comes down to server-side rendering versus JavaScript. The new plugin outputs crawlable HTML with real product schema.
Meaning Google literally sees the actual product.
Yes. But the buy button, that's JavaScript-injected post-load. When Googlebot crawls the page, it just sees an empty placeholder.
Oh, wow. So to Google, the product doesn't even exist.
Right. It's essentially invisible. So the guide advises using the Sell on WordPress plugin for organic discovery.
So you want your products found on Google, use the official plugin.
Yeah. But you reserve the buy button for specific high-conversion inline CTAs.
Like, say I write a massive blog post about coffee roasting, and at the very end, I just want a simple buy this guide button.
Exactly. You don't care if Google indexes the button itself. You just want the reader to click it.
Got it. Okay, so those two plugins are great for standard WordPress setups. But what if you aren't using a standard setup?
Which is a lot of people.
Right. A ton of people live in page builders, Elementor, Divi, Bricks, and Gutenberg blocks don't always play nice there.
No, they often break or just look terrible. That's where you have to look at the heavy lifters.
Method 3, the ShopWP plugin.
This is really for the power users.
Yeah, it's $199 a year for the Pro version. But it gives you massive flexibility because it uses shortcodes.
You can put a product literally anywhere. And it brings third-party UX and customer accounts right inside WordPress.
But there's a serious cost to that convenience, right? And I don't just mean the $200.
The performance tax, it's real. ShopWP renders heavier React components.
Which means more JavaScript for the browser to chew through.
Yep. The source notes it adds a median of 410 milliseconds to your largest contentful paint.
410?
Yeah.
That's 3 times slower than the official plugin.
It is. So if you use ShopWP, edge caching is mandatory. You have to use a host like Kinsta or WP Engine, or your site will feel super sluggish.
Okay, but what if you're a massive brand, like Glossier or Allbirds?
Oh, they aren't using plugins.
Right, they can't afford a 400 millisecond delay.
Mm-hmm.
So they use method 4, headless architecture via the Storefront API.
This is for serious dev teams wanting pixel-perfect UX. You bypass the plugins entirely and query Shopify's Storefront API using GraphQL.
And then you render it server-side using PHP or a framework like Shopify Hydrogen or Next.js.
Exactly. You get raw data and total control over the markup.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The guide breaks down the costs, and headless has a staggering year-one cost.
Over $5,100.
Yeah. It sounds to me like ShopWP is like buying a fully loaded RV. You know, it's heavy, it's a bit slow, but it has everything you need to drive off the lot.
I like that.
And headless is like hiring an architect to build a custom mansion.
Yes. But doesn't the mansion come with a massive property tax?
Exactly. The hidden maintenance costs.
Right. Shopify's Storefront API versioning rotates every single quarter.
Wait, every quarter?
Yes. So old queries get deprecated constantly. A business has to budget at least 4 developer hours per quarter just to keep their site from breaking.
Just to keep the add to cart button working. That's exhausting.
Whereas with plugins, the developer handles those API updates for you.
Okay, so if the RV is too slow and the custom mansion is too expensive to maintain, is there a way to just cheat the system entirely?
Yes. There is an escape hatch. Method 5. The subdomain hybrid.
Which isn't really an integration at all, is it?
No, it's a deliberate split WordPress handles your content on, say, yourdomain.com.
And then a completely separate full Shopify store lives on shop.yourdomain.com.
This raises an important question, though. Why choose fragmentation when we've been talking about integration this whole time?
Because it's a clean reset.
Exactly. You get 100% of Shopify's SEO, total freedom to use any Shopify theme, and zero performance overhead on either side.
But doesn't that totally shatter the illusion for the customer? I mean, they walk out of the bookstore and suddenly they're in a completely different building.
Well, visually, you mitigate that. You take a Shopify theme like Dawn or Refresh, and you match the CSS, the fonts, the colors to your WordPress design.
So it looks the same.
Right. The real trap isn't the visuals, it's the analytics.
Oh, right. GA4 cross-domain tracking.
It's a nightmare if you don't set it up. If someone reads a blog on your root domain and then clicks over to your subdomain to buy...
GA4 drops the session cookie.
Exactly. Suddenly, that one person looks like two completely different people in your analytics.
So a user who is warmed up by your blog just looks like random direct traffic when they buy.
Yeah, your marketing attribution goes completely blind. You have to configure cross-domain tracking in your tag settings. It's not optional.
So whether you use a plugin, a custom API, or a subdomain split, there are some unavoidable universal laws to this whole process. Let's talk about the non-negotiables. First up, the math.
The $1,600 crossover point.
Right, so the buy button on the starter plan is only $5 a month. Very cheap.
But it has a 5% transaction fee.
Which is steep. So mathematically, that's the cheapest route, until your store hits roughly $1,600 a month in card volume.
Because 5% of $1,600 is $80.
Exactly. At that point, you're better off upgrading to the $39 a month basic plan.
Which drops the fee down to 2.9%. You start saving money instantly.
But regardless of the pricing tier, the guide lays down one absolute non-negotiable rule.
Checkout isolation.
Checkout always lives on Shopify.
Yes. You cannot process payments natively on the WordPress server.
And honestly, that's a blessing.
Huge blessing. Shopify owns the PCI compliance. They handle the U.S. sales tax tracking, the shipping logic.
You do not want that liability on your WordPress server.
Never.
So what does this all mean for someone migrating from WooCommerce? Because the source has a pretty stark warning about running two checkouts at once.
Yeah. Do not A/B test them.
It's like having two steering wheels in one car, but they're not connected.
Right. The source says if you run WooCommerce and Shopify checkouts simultaneously, you will corrupt your inventory data.
Because they're both deducting stock independently.
And you double your accounting work. It has to be a hard cutover.
Rip the Band-Aid off, turn Woo off, turn Shopify on.
Exactly. And speaking of pitfalls, there are a few other things to watch out for, like plug-in auto updates.
Oh yeah, a Friday afternoon update that breaks your whole layout.
Happens all the time. Use a staging site. Turn auto updates off.
And then there's the duplicate content trap.
This is crucial for SEO. If a product lives on a WordPress URL, and that same product is also public on a Shopify URL...
Google gets very confused.
It sees two identical pages competing. You have to pick one as the canonical URL, usually the WordPress one, and hide the Shopify version from search engines.
Got it. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. Let's synthesize the final takeaway for you.
The 50K rule of thumb.
Yes. For 80% of WordPress sites out there in 2026, the free Sell on WordPress plugin is the answer. But the source provides a really fascinating sanity check.
If you're doing below $50,000 a month in revenue, integration is the winner.
Right, but above 50K.
The operational tax of maintaining two platforms, the API updates, the analytics tracking, the plugins, it usually outweighs the benefits. At that scale, you should probably just fully migrate the front end to Shopify.
So integration is an amazing stepping stone, but maybe not the forever home for an enterprise.
Exactly. Which actually leaves us with a really provocative concept to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've spent this whole deep dive talking about stitching two giant platforms together, building these modular Frankenstein builds where we cherry-pick the best content engine and the best commerce engine. But as the internet becomes even more fragmented, will the future of e-commerce belong to these modular setups? Or will the sheer exhaustion of maintaining APIs drive everyone back to massive, all-in-one monopolies?
Wow, that's the real question, isn't it? Do we want the specialized speakeasy with the hidden door? Or are we all just going to end up in a giant superstore because it's easier to manage?
It's definitely something to think about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Just remember, speed of validation always beats architectural elegance.
Don't over-engineer version 1.
Exactly. Pick a door, set it up, and start building today. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.